And the government knew this was going to happen. They just did nothing about it. And he probably will get another 3 grand in his bank. Human rights lawyers sitting in the goddamn cabinet, the Prime Minister, for God's sake. So I think you could well see Starmer leading them into the next general election, which would be fantastic for the anybody who doesn't like Labour because they're going to get slaughtered.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Nick Talks. This episode's returning and still amazing guest is that Preston journalist. How you doing, Ash?
Yeah, really good, Nick. How are you?
I'm really good. Let's start with some good news. Your channel now has hit over 50,000 subscribers. You're on about 53, 54 at the moment. So congratulations on that. And what makes that even more spectacular was about 15 months ago, you lost your whole account. You got hacked, you lost it all, and you had to start again with 0 subscribers. And in 15 months, you've built it back up to we're getting close now to 55,000 subscribers. Well done, you, for all the hard work.
Yeah, well, it's not just down to me, is it? I mean, people like you and some of our mutual friends, like Gabby Cabby, Craig Houston, Silver Fox, all had me on the channels talking, trying to get my name back out there. Uh, helping me build back up again. And it's actually been quite a monumental ride. Last time it took me 3 years to get to this position, but and it was deflating trying to get back up to a decent level again. But now it's going better than ever, and I love doing things like this with you as well, coming on this channel, talking to other people. So it's all good. I love doing this.
No, me too. And big thank you for coming on the channel. I enjoy these chats with you, Silver Fox, and other people because we spend too much time on our own. But my wife doesn't want to talk about politics. My friends don't want to talk about politics, and it's nice to get someone who wants to talk about politics. So I thoroughly enjoy this. And for people who are wondering how you lost your account, this is a warning. You clicked a link in an email, so we've got to be careful out there. The hackers are being clever. You clicked a link, and you lost everything.
Yeah, so somebody offered to, or they said they wanted me to take part in a debating panel. And I had to sign a document to say that I was going to take part in it and I wasn't going to disclose any information from it, etc. Basically, an NDA or something like that. All I did was click on the document and everything gone. My Gmail, which is obviously connected to all sorts of things, my payments from YouTube, that all went, everything. So, and my channel just disappeared instantly. So I warn anybody: do not click on anything. And if anybody offers now, people, I still get emails now. People offering to sponsor the channel, etc. We'll pay you to advertise this, advertise that. Now I don't even do any of it. I'm more than happy just working with you and our mutual friends. I don't want people I trust. There's no way I'm doing anything like that again.
Yeah, it's bad news for lots of people, and especially the average Joe who clicks something, or they get ripped off online. Or it's a huge crime wave, and a lot of it is from abroad. I don't know how our government's going to crack down on it when it's coming from Nigeria or Poland or Timbuktu. I don't know how they do it, but they need to get a grip because we're losing billions a year on online fraud just in this country. Now, if we're talking about losing money and we're talking about fraud and we're talking about our government not being able to do anything, you might not be aware of this, Ash. You might not, because this probably didn't make the news. But you know that the Labour government have got a new project called One In, One Out, where we take somebody who crossed the channel illegally, we give them back to France if we don't want them, and then France sends us some people in return. We've deported something like 42 people. The first one we know of now has come back over the channel on a legal boat and is back in the UK. And what people don't know is when we deported him to France, we gave him £3,000. So the question I want to know is if we deport him again, do we give him another £3,000 to go back to France again? Because if they do, that's quite a good job. Get 3 grand, go to France, have a holiday for a week, come back, get another 3 grand, go back to France for a week. It's a scam.
Making more than me. You just going back and forth on a small boat. We also know, by the way, these people smugglers, as soon as Labour introduced this no hope deal, they were doing a 2 for 1 offer with people. They said if on the very slim chance, like 1 in 1,000, if that you do get sent back, we'll give you a second bite of the cherry for free. So that's what this guy's probably got. Or I believe the price to cross the channel in one of these boats is something like 1,500 quid. So he's still 1,500 quid up, even if he pays to come back here again and get another 3 grand in his bank and get sent back to France again. And the government knew this was going to happen. They just did nothing about it. They knew it wasn't going to work. They said themselves in that agreement, if anybody comes back over on a small boat again, we will deport them again as a matter of urgency. They're now saying they're going to fast track this guy and send him back to France again. As if he gives a toss. And he probably will get another 3 grand in his bank. And he probably will, in fact, he definitely will get on another small boat. And then he'll get sent back again, possibly. You know what? It actually makes sense for him to get caught, doesn't it? Otherwise he won't get his 3 grand. So he might as well get caught on purpose. Oh, you've got me again. He goes back over another 3 grand. Thank you very much. I'll pay the people smugglers again. He's making 1,500 quid. He can make 1,500 quid a week.
Yeah, and don't forget that's spending money because when he gets caught again, it doesn't pay for accommodation, doesn't pay for food. We're funding all that. We're going to give him some spending money as well. We'll fund that, and then when we deport him back to France, we also pay for their hotels for a certain amount of time in France. This is just a jolly. I mean, I'd like to go to France on holiday. I've been several times before, but I'd like to go back to France. The reason why I don't go to France on holiday, it's too expensive for me. But these migrants were sending on holiday to France and paying for everything for them.
It is amazing. I mean, we've seen how Labour negotiate, right? We've look at Chagos. We've seen it before. We know they can't negotiate with people. Everything they touch is a disaster. It's because they have no real world experience, of course. They have no experience in business or the private sector, how to negotiate things. So, of course, they're crap at it. But who negotiates a deal where we can send maybe one back or two back? I believe the total number now is 42. Actually, it's 41 because that guy's back here again.
He is.
41 at the minute. They've sent back over there. And we've received well over 3,000, I think, in that time since that deal started. Over 38,000 have crossed the channel this year alone, which is more than all of 2024 put together. So, where's the deterrent? Labour knew it wasn't a deterrent, but then they've got the gall to call the Rwanda scheme a gimmick. But I'm sorry, the Rwanda scheme was having an effect. Migrants were leaving Britain to get into the Republic of Ireland. The Republic of Ireland were going apeshit because they were getting more and more people coming from over here because they were scared of being sent to Rwanda. That's a deterrent, and it was having an effect. So we spent hundreds of millions on that, and those facilities are now being used by certain countries in the EU. I believe Germany is one of them. They're also being used by the Americans, so they can send their illegal immigrants over as well. So we've built an illegal immigrant detention centre in Rwanda for other countries to use. And Starmer thinks that these people actually believe they're doing a good thing. That's the frightening thing, you know. They believe they're right. It's frightening.
It yes, I mean, I don't know how they get a grip on this. First of all, they don't really want to get a grip on it because Steiner's scared of his backbenchers. He's scared of them thinking he's a racist, a xenophobe, and you're picking on the poorest people in the world. His left wing voters don't like this, but he knows he has to look for the rest of the country. He knows he has to look like he's doing something. And this is a gimmick. And Rwanda was a gimmick as well, even though it may have had a bit of an effect. It was a gimmick because the only way we stop this is by stopping the boats in the channel. Once they've landed here, it's all too late, and it costs us so much money the second they land. It's about stopping the boats in the channel. I don't think this government can do that whatsoever, just like the Tories couldn't do it. Do you think they're going to? Do you think they've got a chance of maybe not stopping the boats, but do you think they've got a chance of reducing the numbers, spinning it so it looks like they're succeeding at something when it comes to illegal migration? Can they achieve anything?
No, they haven't got a credible deterrent. There is literally no deterrent now. What's stopping these people crossing the channel? Nothing. Labour aren't going to do something drastic like, I don't know, put the Navy in the channel to blockade it and send these boats back. They're not going to push the boats back. You've got these international human rights lawyers not just fighting every case to keep these people in the country. You've got human rights lawyers sitting in the goddamn cabinet, the prime minister, for God's sake. You know, these people aren't going to fight against this. It's all international law, international law. The British people don't matter. British law doesn't matter. They just care about the globalist world. That's all they're bothered about. And we come in a very distant second or third place to the international human rights laws. And that's all that matters to them. Partly because they want a nice fat job when they've with a nice big salary when they've finished in politics, which will be very soon for most of them. They also believe in open borders. That's the fact of it. They believe in having open borders. They don't believe in keeping people out. Yet they refuse to cut back the size of the state. They refuse to cut spending anywhere, which is why we're borrowing so much money now, why we're in so much debt, why we're on the verge of begging the IMF for a bailout. But even if they wanted to cut back a bit of spending, they're going to get a rebellion from their own backbenchers again.
And we've seen that when they tried to cut back on not welfare spending, it was to cut back the increase in the welfare. It's still going to go up, but just not as much as they thought. And he had a rebellion on that and had to backtrack.
Yeah, and that same thing will happen again. If Reeves does say in her budget one thing about cutting anything back in the state, that's it. There'll be a rebellion again. They're being held hostage. And the people on the backbenches are just as thick as what Starmer and Reeves are. We've got the we've got absolute idiots running this country who just don't know what they're doing, I'm afraid. None of them know what they're doing. You've got a prime minister who is terrible at the game of politics. I know that sounds a bit crass, but politics is essentially a game, and he's bad at it. He's admitted it himself. He doesn't understand politics, like the game of politics. So why he's there, I don't know. You've got Reeves, who's a complaints handler, claims to be this wonderful economist. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's got no idea. You've got nobody in that cabinet apart from Reeves who's worked in the private sector at all.
Did you? I was sorry. I was going to say, did you see all the excuses she came out with about why her budget failed? It was Brexit. It was the miners' strikes in the 80s. She came out with a list of stuff, and to begin with, I thought, "Is this AI? Is this?" And it was true. It's like, even if you want to make excuses, surely you can come up with some more valid, up to date excuse. To blame the miners was like that was beyond me. That one.
That's twice they've done that, you know. That's twice they've tried to blame the economy on the miners' strikes in the 80s. Like, what planet are you lot on? And then, yeah, then they try to blame Brexit. They're just doing whatever they can to try and target reform, I suppose. Maybe that's what they think. It's the only thing they've got left. But that's failed badly as well. Just on a mere side note, if I can, we're now seeing Starmer realizing, I think, that he can't appeal to the wider country, the centre right country anymore. It's gone. It's finished. So now he's decided to fly out to that ridiculous COP30 thing that's taking place in Brazil. Something he said he wasn't going to do before, because he's now trying to get some support, any if he can, away from the Green Party, because they'll jump on his back if he doesn't go and talk about climate change in Brazil. He's just firefighting. This isn't government. Government should have an agenda. Maybe not principles, the politicians, aren't they? But they should have policies. They should have a vision for what they want to do. Whether people like it or not, they should have had a set agenda of what they were going to do, and they had none of it. Despite having 14 years to plan for it, they didn't know what they were going to do when they got in government. And as we all know, they got there by default.
Yeah, reform ruined the Tories and Labour won because they weren't the Tories. Let me tell you what I think Labour's strategy is going to be now for the next 2, 3 years. It's going to be this. They know, you're right, they can't win the middle ground. They know they're hated across the country in many parts. And they're looking at reform and the Tories and they're going, you guys are splitting the so-called right-wing vote there. And the left wing's already split. We've got the Lib Dems, we've got Labour, we've got the Greens, we've got your party, and we've got some independents. And I think Starmer's strategy now is to paint reform as Nazis, which he's been doing. Everything's reform, reform get in, it's going to be the third right, reform, 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 reform. And I think closer to the election, his strategy is going to be to coalesce the left, to say to the left, you can vote Green if you want to, you can vote Lib Dem, you can vote for all that, but only Labour have a chance of beating the new Hitler. You either vote for Labour or you're going to get reform, the fascists. And I think that's his strategy. And I think the rhetoric against reform, which is going to be really dangerous because I fear for the lives of Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson. I think both of them, one of them could be assassinated over the next couple of years because it's getting that toxic. But I think that's Labour's strategy. Make them appeal to the left as it's us or Hitler. And I think that's what he's going to do.
I think that's already failed. I think that I think so. I think that's all that strategy. We saw Labour spend their entire party conference wasted talking about a party that has five MPs in Reform UK. They've spent the last few months saying that Farage is a friend of Jimmy Savile because he doesn't like the Online Safety Act. They've said that he is a Putin apologist because Farage actually talks a bit of sense on Ukraine, and some of I actually agree with some of his views. I think the EU and NATO are partly responsible for that war breaking out. I know it's not a popular opinion, but that I absolutely agree with Farage on that as well. They've tried doing everything, throwing every bit of mud they can. Starmer, in my opinion, incited violence in his speech in at the party conference, spending that entire speech again talking about Nigel Farage. What's happened? How much of that mud has stuck? None of it. It's all just bounced off because no one is listening to Labour. No one is listening to the Tories. So what that's why I think now he's going to this silly cop thing to try and get some left wing voters on his side because the right has gone. Whatever little bit of the right he had. And how bad can the rhetoric get? I mean, they've basically called him a nonce. They've called him a Putin apologist. They've tried everything, all of which is absolute rubbish, by the way, of course. But they've tried it, and it's just failed completely. These people are finished. And what's frightening is, I know I keep saying Starmer's going to go and all that, but what's frightening is whenever that next general election comes, if I'm right and it's next year, Starmer will lead them into that general election. It's very, very difficult to get rid of a Labour leader. They haven't done it in about 100 years. It's a very long, drawn out process, and it doesn't happen very often. Even Corbyn, don't forget, managed to win a vote of no confidence when it was called against him. So I think you could well see Starmer leading them into the next general election, which would be fantastic for the anybody who doesn't like Labour because they're going to get slaughtered. But again, that the best thing about it is that general election will come much sooner than what most people think.
Let me put this scenario to you. This is the point I was trying to make. So it's 2 years from now. We're in the middle of a general election. It's 6 weeks away. Reform are still riding high in the polls. Tories are nowhere to be seen still. They're still scraping along the bottom. And if you look at Labour's vote and you add Lib Dems, Greens, your party, that looks like it could overtake Reform. Starmer's strategy then is I need to say to left, it's me or Reform. Who do you want? You might not agree with me with everything, but I'm better than Hitler. Who do you want, me or Hitler? That's going to be his strategy.
Don't know if it's going to work. I honestly don't think it's going to work. But I'll tell you what, there's some really interesting polling I was reading just before we came on, right? JL Partners have done this polling, and this is Gen Z voters. So this is 16 to 25-year-olds. The voting intention for males, Reform, 38%. Labour, 18%. Um, Women, 16 to 25. Greens, 25. Labour, 25. Reform, 22. And overall, Reform 31, Labour 24, Greens 14. So even the younger generations, who were the only ones stupid enough to fall for this silly Nazi fascist rhetoric, because nobody with a brain in their heads could actually fall for that rubbish. Even they now, the younger generations, are actually turning to Reform. And those that are left wing, it looks to me like they're actually turning more Green than they are Labour. So actually, I don't think whatever rhetoric they throw, it just seems to make Farage and Reform more popular. I don't think it matters what they say now. We've heard how many years have it happens to me. I'm sure it happens to you. Have you been called a Nazi, a fascist, a racist, a homophobe? Yeah, Islamophobe, homophobe, transphobe, you name it. The law, I don't, and now I don't even hear it. It's just Waterford up back. I could not give a toss. And that's what most of the people in this country now think. For years, they were terrified about speaking out about important issues, whether it be grooming gangs, whether it be immigration. People were terrified about speaking out. And now the tide has changed. People have woken up. And that's what the establishment don't like. I don't know if you saw, but even the Met Police this week announced, not that I'm going to praise Mark Rowley, but they announced they will no longer investigate these silly non-crime hate crimes any longer. The tide is turning. The establishment don't like it, but the tide is turning big time. People, at the end of the day, I know Starmer can say what he wants, but people just want rid of the Tories and the Labour duopoly. And to get that, people, even if they don't like Nigel Farage, people will hold their noses and vote for Reform UK and give them a chance and try something different.
Yep, we're living in extraordinary times, and anything can change month to month in this country at the moment. It wouldn't surprise me if Reform UK collapse next year for whatever reason. It wouldn't surprise me if the Tories managed to start fighting their way back. It wouldn't surprise me if Labour started going up in the polls, because at the moment we have no idea what voters and people are going to do. Everything is up in the air, and especially if we get some of the unknown unknowns, a war somewhere, if the economy crashes, anything can happen. It's all to play for between now and the general election. And that's what I think all the parties realise. It's all to play for, because some of us could get lucky and some of us could end up in power here, not realising a year ago it was never going to be an option.
I don't know if you noticed or not, but a poll came out last week. I can't remember who did it now. But it was the first poll that put Labour behind the Tories in a long, long time.
Wow, I missed
And
that.
it had Reform in first place on something like 32, 33. It had the Lib Dems and Tories in joints. Was it Lib Dems and Tories? Yeah, I think it was on something like 16 each. And then fourth place were Labour on just 15%. Oh no, I'll tell you what it was. I got it wrong. It was Reform first, it was the Conservatives second on 17, and Labour with 15 each with the Greens. So joint third. So that just shows how far they're falling. It wouldn't surprise me if more polls show that either. By the way, there's a lot of twitchy arses on them Labour benches now. A lot of one-term MPs, and a lot of MPs who have been there quite a while. Take Jess Phillips, Shabana Mahmood. She's looking at losing her seat as well. Wes Streeting. These people are gone at the next election. Gone. Rayner's gone as well. She can forget it. It's going to be one hell of a clear out, but who replaces them? More Gaza people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, it won't be anybody with any credibility. It won't be people who are more intelligent. It'll be the next tier down, which would be worse than this tier, because that is possible. We can get worse than what we've got. That's hard to believe, but it's possible. Pardon me.
Frightening thought.
No, it is. But let's set a date. The next general election, you've said it before. We need to do a live with a couple of beers where the results come in, and because it's going to be a hell of an evening.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh yeah, I'll be sat here. We're sitting here from like the exit poll, say 10 o'clock at night, till about 7 in the morning. I'm gonna watch them all lose their seats, and I'm gonna smile. Forget a couple of cans of lager. Sod that. I'm gonna have a bottle of champagne next to me and an ice bucket. We're sipping all night and watching.
That is definitely a day. I'm going to get that in my diary now. Ash, thanks so much for coming back on the show, and we'll do this again soon.
Yeah, cheers, Nick. Great, thank you.